This is the one. Very simple. This is how it manifests in time. In the music, we can experience the oneness anytime we want to. It's really the consciousness that we bring into it that determines how far we will go with it. In the first video about living oneness, I'm using a quote from Ram Dass. It goes like this: oneness is the source of love. Real love is the one celebrating itself as the two. And one of the ways oneness is misunderstood oftentimes is it's sort of like, looks like everybody becomes one, everybody behaves the same, everybody becomes uniform, and we sort of sacrifice our individuality for that connectedness. Now that has existed in the past, but what we're talking about here in living oneness is exactly the opposite. When you take a closer look, it becomes kind of obvious. Everything that is only once. Every particle, every human being, every animal, every plant, even every grain of sand. They even say every snowflake is unique. How could that be? Because oneness can only express in relativity as uniqueness. Doesn't it kind of make sense? Think about it. Now, if that means that we're all interconnected into this whole, that the whole is needed for any one of the parts to even show up. Like the tree is not by itself. The tree is part of, in order for the tree to be there, there has to be the sky and the sun and the soil and the water and the bugs and so many other things for the tree to be there. The whole has to be there for the part to show up. And part of my thinking about living oneness and the power of that is that when we understand that interconnectedness, and we understand that interconnectedness, when we live life from there, then love is present. It is the middle, is the place where we relate to all our beings out there, just like so many of the Native American cultures here always put in the forefront all my relations. So if we are in this interconnected field, we're all together in there, no matter if we get it or not. Something really special happens when we get it, especially when we get it with each other, because then the culture between us completely changes. We change from independent, separate beings that try to find a connected, try to find cooperation, try to find a way to relate, into something else that to begin with knows, where we know you're part of me and I'm part of you. We may not know how to live this, we may have to figure out how to do that, but that's secondary. The first place is to realize that, and to realize the tremendous impact of that insight. Because it means that we as human beings have come to a point to realize this interconnectedness. And wouldn't that be something that nature wants from us? To realize that interconnectedness and then bring it into life, bring it into our culture, bring it into the way we live with each other. And so there's a very simple thing, a simple thought. If we live in an interconnected one field, then each one of us has tremendous impact on that field. And not to speak of that when we connect in that spirit, in that understanding. And I mean this in an embodied way. I don't mean it just in an abstract thought type of way. That's why I love music. That's why I love breath. That's why I love the work with living energy. When we open ourselves to the experience of what flows between us, then we realize when we change something between each other, we change it for everybody. If one person makes a step toward living oneness, the next person will have it easier. and so on and so on. So that's, I think, is a wonderful idea. There's been a lot of talk about systemic change. Well, systemic means nothing else than oneness. Systemic means that everything is systemically connected, and there's not just, here's a level and it's totally disconnected from that level. No, when we do something on that fundamental level where we come together as new, we switch from a competitive culture in the world into a cooperative culture. And that has to be done by us. Who else would do it? Our leaders can't do that, but we can. We have that chance. Let me know what you think.